Hi Stampers, it's Madeline from stampwithmadeline.com, the Wonderland Stamper. Today we are going to be working with the Waterfront stamp set. One of my customers bought this and it inspired me to start making some cards to show you how to make. So today in this video we'll be making these adorable cards. I love this stamp set because, as usual, Stampin' Up! Has made an amazing, versatile stamp set that you can make lots of different looks with. And I love how this plays in nicely with a lot of our other stamp sets. So I've seen people use High Tide, that you can really add in some cute things using other stamp sets. Okay, so this video will have 2 example cards, and then over on my blog, so stampwithmadeline.com, I will be doing 5 different examples, and they will be tutorials with pictures and instructions on how to make these or make other cards, other examples. So altogether, you will get 7 different projects for me this week that you can make along with me. So let's get right into it. So again, we are using the Waterfront stamp set. This is a photopolymer stamp set. So what you will need is a pierce mat to do all of your stamping on. This is over in my online store. Over on my blog, when this video is live, you'll get to click over on my blog and see all the products that I used, and you can click right on the products over on my blog post and get right to my online store. So it's really easy to find everything that I used. So first, we are going to do this card. I saw a lot of great projects on Pinterest using this gray-black scale with this stamp set, and I had to make one. So this is my take on it, and I'm going to tell you everything that I used for this and what you will need. So I did do some prep work ahead of time, so I'll show you that. Okay, so for the base of this card, it's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is Sahara sand. Then I got a piece of Always Artichoke. Let me make sure that is, yes, Always Artichoke. And I cut it down a little bit. So what I did was I made it 4 by 4 1/2, and I put it through the Big Shot using our wood grain embossing folder, which is one of my favorites. It's one of the thicker ones, so it gives it a lot more detail than our other ones, and I love the look that it gives in this card. So again, 4 by 4 1/2 Always Artichoke piece of paper. Okay, and then I am using Very Vanilla, and I did this at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, so that way it would go across here and fill up the whole page. And this is what we're going to be doing most of our stamping on today. So let's get started with that. You will have one stamp down here, but mostly the technique I'm going to show you today is all on here, on that Very Vanilla piece. So let's switch this. Okay, so the colors that you're going to need for your ink pads are going to be Smoky Slate, Basic Black, and Basic Gray. And what we're going to be doing is a stamp off technique to give you some different layers of color using just 3 stamp pads. So first, we're going to work on the water here. So for the water, I used this stamp, and I'm going to be using the Basic Gray. So we want this pretty dark. You're also going to need a sheet of paper that you're just stamping off on. So what I'm going to do is just use a piece of paper here that is just a scrap piece that I messed up on. So I'm going to have that there for us. Okay, so on this Very Vanilla sheet, I'm going to be stamping on this Basic Gray. And again, I'm not going to stamp off because I want it to be this full dark color. Now, I am going to be stamping a little bit on the pierce mat. Just be aware of that. You'll want to wipe that off with a baby wipe before your next project, and make sure you don't get your hands in it because it does transfer over. Okay, so I have that, and you can stamp off, so it's up to you what you want to do. We're now going to move to the Smoky Slate. So I'm just layering. That's what we're doing here. So I'm going over to the Smoky Slate, and I'm going to use this, it looks like just more water, but I want it to be grass. So what I'm going to do is stamp it in this Smoky Slate, stamp off, and then stamp on here. I want it to be very, very light. What you could do is you could do some texturing and you could do a little bit of stamped off and a little bit of non-stamped off. So that is all stamped off, and then I could lightly press this and just go in again in different places and give it that darker texture. Okay, just like that. All right, now we are going to do the mountains. So the mountains are going to be in black, but we are going to really stamp off to get them just so they're, you know, like in the horizon very lightly. Okay, so this is our mountain stamp. So I'm going to go in the basic black here, get it nice and inked, and I'm going to fully press it off onto our extra piece of paper here. I'm going to leave a space from the grass there and then press down. Okay, so see how it's not that full color? All right, so make sure you're doing your stamping off on your pierced mat as well, because if you don't, then it won't give that crisp image over here. All right, so there are our mountains, okay, and now we're going to do our trees. So our trees are going to be in fully basic black. So I have two things on here. So here is the tree stamp. So I'm going to ink it up in basic black, and I'm going to place it in two different places here. So this should be in that full color. My basic black is drying out a little bit here. So I'm doing it in two places. Okay, and now we are going to close the basic black just for a second. And we're going to open up the smoky slate, and we're going to do the sun in this color. And I'm not going to stamp off. There we go. And don't worry about this, the white space, we're going to take care of that. Okay, now we're going to do the sentiment in basic black. So the thing I like about this card, and a lot of the cards that you can make with Stampin' Up, is they're very artistic. Every time you make it, it may look a little bit different. So as you can see, this is already looking a little bit different from my example, but I love that. There we go. Okay, now we are going to take the basic gray and we're going to fill in some of that white space with these cute little dots. So I love the look that these give. So these I'm just randomly placing around. I'm not doing them heavy. I'm just lightly pressing. That's all I want. Okay? And you could do more if you want or less. It's totally up to you. So this finishes our stamping on this. And now we're just going to put our card together. So we do need to do one more stamp though in basic gray on our base here. Okay. And it is going to be the sentiment that says, and the hard times easier. So get it nice and inked, and we're just placing it along the bottom here. Just like that. Okay, so now take this off. Now we're going to place all of this together. So this is going to be centered here, and you can use whatever adhesive you like using best. You want to put a little bit of extra adhesive on this just because it, with these textured embossing folders, sometimes the paper is harder to stick onto other paper once it's done. Okay, so we have that nice wood grain down here. And now we're going to put our masterpiece on top of that. So as you can see, a little ink from that piercing mat did get on this background. So that's what you need to be careful about. Okay, and then this is going to go in the center of that green wood impression. And there we go. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. So now this is going to go on a card base. So I just do the card fronts in this project, but then you attach this to a card base that's 4 1/4 by either 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 or 4 1/4 by 11. It's up to you, whatever way you like doing your cards. Okay? And that is all set for the first project. And see how that does look different. It just depends as you go what it'll look like, which is something I love. All right, so now we're going to move on to our second project. So this is a little bit different take on the colors that we're using. So let's get everything together for that and what you will need. So again, we're going to use that Sahara sand, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we're going to do the leaves impression on that. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I did want to do one where I demonstrate the big shot to you, just so that you're aware of what it takes to do it. Okay, and then I use the Stitch Shapes set. This has circles, ovals, and squares, and if you've seen my previous videos, this is a favorite of mine. I use it for a lot of different cards, and I did use 2 of the second to smallest square just to back up and give it that different look there. You also need a scrap piece of this Always Artichoke paper because we're going to be using the new punch that comes in the Truly Tailored suite to give us this look here, which I love. Okay, so let me show you how to use this textured embossing folder. I absolutely love these. So this is just like the wood grain one, where it's a little thicker than our regular embossing folders, and I love it. So here's our big shot. I'm going to get it as much in the picture as I can here. So the big shot comes with 2 plates, okay, that look truly, I've used them a lot, a thin die adapter, and then a big shot platform. So all you need is the big shot platform and 1 plate. So that's all you need for these thick embossing folders. So you're going to place this Sahara sand on the bottom part. You know it's the bottom because it doesn't have the writing on it, the Stampin' Up! Logo and the Sizzix. Center it, and then you're going to put it on the big shot platform and then the plate on top. That way it's a little sandwich here, and you're just going to roll it through. Okay, so once it's rolled through, it gives us that gorgeous design. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so that's all you need to do with the big shot, so that can go away. So that was with the Layered Leaves Dynamic Embossing folder. Okay, so all the stamping is going to take place on our tag that we're going to punch out. So I'm going to use this punch that comes with the Truly Tailored suite, and I love it. Actually, let's not punch that out yet. We have one step to do with that first. I forgot about. Get your Pierce mat out, and mine still has all the stamping on it, so just try to avoid those. And we're going to take the colors you're going to need for this are Elegant Eggplant, Night of Navy, and then Always Artichoke. So we want the Always Artichoke, and you want to make sure that you've cleaned your stamps before you do this, just so it doesn't get any dark black onto our Always Artichoke ink pad here. It'll still be stained, but that's okay. So we're going to put our trees in the center here, just like that, okay? And then we're going to take our punch and punch this out. And we don't want a lot of the trees showing. That's just like a little addition. We want more green space here for a sentiment. Okay, so there we go. Just a little accent. And then let's just get the sentiment out of the way. So we are going to use basic black. So you will need that basic black pad still from our previous card. And we're going to do the sentiment, Love Never Gives Up. So get it nice and inked on the basic black, and then line it up so it's on your tag here, and there we go. Okay, now we are going to start our stamping on that stitch circle where all of our patterns are going to be. Okay, so put it in a place where it's not going to get any of that extra ink on it. And make sure all of your stamps are cleaned from the previous project. And I'm using the Stampin' Scrub, which I'll show you. So this has a wet side that you spray with our Stampin' Mist and a dry side where you're drying off the stamp. So all you do is you rub it on the wet side and then you rub it on the dry side and it's clean, which I love. I'm really not a fan of cleaning stamps with the baby wipes. And I don't recommend it because what ends up happening is that there's little particles that come off the baby wipe, even if you're super careful, that get onto the stamp. And then what ends up happening is that when you're stamping, the image is different because of those particles. So I'm really not a fan of baby wipes. And this is inexpensive enough and it lasts forever, and you can wash the pads and dry them and reuse them. So I think it's definitely worth it. Okay, so let's get the example in here so that you know what we're working towards here. And we're going to get all of our ink pads open. So first I'm going to do the water, and the water is going to be in Night of Navy, and I'm not going to stamp off at all. So it's going to be that nice dark Night of Navy image here. We will get some on our Pierce mat, which is okay. Okay, so there is our water. And now we're going to do just a little bit of grass with that Always Artichoke. This is going to be stamped off. Okay, so I'm getting it nice and inked, but then I'm going to have my scrap piece of paper in here stamp off and then stamp it on your paper. And that'll give it that nice different color than our trees, which is what I'm going for. Now you're going to take the mountain, you're going to ink it up in that Elegant Eggplant beautiful color, stamp off fully onto the scrap piece, leave a blank space between the grass and the mountains, stamp, there we go. So it gives you that different color that I love. Now your trees are going to be inked up in the Always Artichoke and then placed right in the grass here, and it's going to be that nice dark Always Artichoke color. And look at the difference between the grass and that. I just love that. Okay, I'm going to add something in here that I didn't on the original. I'm going to take those dots that we used and I'm going to put them in the Always Artichoke. I'm going to stamp them off and then I'm going to just place them here just lightly, and I'm going to do it one more time. So this is optional, just to give it a little bit of accent in there. Okay, so we're done with the stamping on this, and we're done with the stamping on our cute little tag here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close up my ink first, just so I don't get my elbows in it. We're going to attach those squares onto the back of our circle. So they're going to look like this. We just want them to be like little tail feathers here on the corners. Okay, so we have to put adhesive on them. So I'm going to just put adhesive on the inside part of this square, and I'm going to line it up so that the corners are inside of my circle here. Okay, we just want a little bit hanging off. And same thing on this side. Okay, and they will overlap. Make sure when you're doing it that they're lining up. So like mine, I'm going to have to readjust, which is okay. But you want them to be level with what you're working with here. So I would look at the front as you do it. That way it's exactly like the way you want it to look when you attach it to your card. There we go. Okay, I'm going to use dimensionals to then put this onto our card. But first, we're wanting to take our layered leaves piece here, and we're going to use the burlap ribbon, which is one of my favorite ribbons. I'm always running out of this. Cut it to fit just the side with a little bit that we can tuck behind the card. Put adhesive all the way down this ribbon. Center it. Place it down. Tuck it behind, so you want adhesive along the whole thing. Now we're going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on this, so I'm going to put 4 on here. Okay, just like that. Peel up the paper. And then we're going to place it onto the burlap ribbon. Okay, so I'm aiming for the little points to be on the burlap ribbon here. Go. And then I'm going to put 3 dimensionals onto our cute little tag here that we made with that new punch. I press them on before taking off the paper just so that I know they're stuck on. Okay. And then I have it overlap a little bit with my circle there, make sure it's in the center, and then press down. Isn't it so cute? I love this set. There are so many other projects that you can make with this set. The options are limitless. So here is our other card that we made. And then let me show you the set one more time. So this is available in my 24-hour, 24/7 online shop, which I'll have the link below over to my website, stampinwithmadelyn.com, where you'll get to see this blog post with all the dimensions of what you'll need and the supplies that you'll need to make these two projects, and also the stamp set that you can buy. So just click on the picture of it and you'll be brought over to my shop. And make sure to subscribe over on my blog so that you'll get 5 more projects this week using this stamp set of the Waterfront. Don't forget to like my video if you like these projects, and don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so that you'll be updated on all of my Stampin' Sunday videos that I have posted. Thanks so much for watching. For now, keep stampin', Stampers. Bye.